Alright, what's going on, guys? So right now I just took a short, took me a couple minutes to get the screen recorder to work, but I am currently short Nasdaq. This is a 5-minute chart. Let me zoom out and show you guys what I'm looking at. So right now I got my stop loss above this high because we've had this displacement down. We've got an overlapping order block inside of a premium with a fair value gap. So I took a short here. I'm willing to add another 3 contracts at the 50% level. So I've got a notification here, which I'm going to just delete. And I don't want to set a limit because if I can get a better price a little bit higher up, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Plus we're ahead of 930. So I'm taking all those things into consideration. Over here, we got a daily. Top right, we've got an hourly. Bottom right, we've got a 5-minute on Nasdaq. And then the upper 3 charts here are all the index futures markets. So we've got Dow, S&P, and then Nasdaq. All of these are on a 15-minute time frame. So right now, I'm just going to open this one back up. And my target as of right now is just a closure of this fair value gap below the midnight open. So the purple line is midnight open. Let's go ahead and... And then we've got the 830 open, which is right here, this black line, right? Which also is an overlapping bearish breaker. So a lot of confluence around this level here. What I'm thinking is this is going to be the AM session high, and we're going to have displacement to the downside targeting sell stops. So we might get this 50% or higher right ahead of 930. And we could even use 930 volatility to spike up, fill it in, and then reject. So essentially what I'm looking for is a quick push up into these levels. It can go as far as the 79% level. It could even wick through it a bit. And then I just want to see a massive sell-off, right? So it should have speed like these candles here. It shouldn't just kind of consolidate like this. It should rapid expansion lower. That's what we're looking for. So I figured what I'll do today is I will go ahead and record my entire trading for this AM session. And I'll kind of show you guys where I'm at. So I'm currently in the process of doing a $20,000 verification for MyForexFunds. I'm currently up 6%, so I need a remaining 2% in order to win. My win rate right now is like 66.67%, which isn't that good. There's been a couple times throughout this trading month where I've deviated from my plan. And if you guys have been trading for a while, you know that if you don't stick to your plan, you most likely won't make money. But when you do make money. So it's a funny thing there. But yeah, I've been finding like just staying patient and being really disciplined when it comes to following my plan and things like that, not overthinking it. And basically thinking like an algorithm, like the market doesn't have emotions, so I can't be emotional in terms of my decisions inside the market, right? So we're seeing a little push lower here. If we drop down to a 1 minute, you guys can see a little bit clearer that we're starting to get some movement here. We've got high, lower high, lower low, lower high, forming a lower low now. So I may not get a fill up here in this area, and that's okay. I'm fine with 2 contracts on, but once we start breaking lower, I will go ahead and trail my stop to break even. I'll put it right here. So right around that 11,420 level, which it kind of looks like that's what we're going to do, is we're just going to continue breaking lower. So I'll go ahead and mark out some targets for you guys. I thought I had them on... Oh, it's on the 15. Yeah, here we go. So from a 15-minute, so we have liquidity above this high. We also have a lot of liquidity pulled up down here. The fact that we're already breaking lower after failing to run above this high indicates to me more so that we want to push lower at a very minimum of where my take profit is, right? Because if you look, we have this gap. Right? Let's just clean this up a bit. All right. So we have this gap. Traded into it once, traded into it again, gained some traction to move to the upside. So people stops are going to be placed below here, right? Retail has been chasing this market to the upside. Stops are pulled up below here, below here, below here. Right? So I'll mark out those levels once we get closer to them. But for now, my take profit is set here, which is 121 pips or points, $242 profit, and I'm risking $82 or 41 points or pips. So I've got my fib marked out here so you guys can see the premium of this range, right? The bodies are still valid. And typically when I use my fibs, I use the bodies because that's where the bulk of the volume is. If you guys have studied ICT, you know that, he talks primarily about using the bodies when it comes to the fibs. You can use the high and the low, but I always find it more insightful if I use the bodies. So far the bodies are still respecting this level. I mean, I could adjust it to this new body formed, but to me, it definitely looks like we're just going to continue lower. So this fib isn't going to be valid too much longer, but I would ideally want it to see a quick push up here right at the 9:30 open 3 minutes from now. I'll go short with 3 contracts. Stop will still go above here. So at that point, I would have 5 contracts on. Typically, I don't like to take a trade while one is in drawdown. Like, for example, if I take 3 lots, that means this 2-lot position is going to be in drawdown because it's going to be above that entry point. However, like I am okay with doing it in this scenario because there's a lot of liquidity pulled up below us after it's basically ran up all day up until the AM session, clearing out buy side, right? Ran the buy side here, buy side here, buy side here. And it just basically failed to get back above yesterday's high, right? But the fact that we sold off like this definitely tells me that this market's weak, right? It's having a hard time continuing higher. So we'll see what we get ahead of 9:30, or at 9:30, I should say. Periodically throughout this, I am going to mute my mic just so I don't want to be talking the whole time. I don't know how valuable it'll be to discuss like every single candle painting, but I'm going to let 9:30 open. We'll see what happens there, see if we can get some partials off, and then I will mute my mic and I'll just keep this going, this recording going until ultimately we hit the take profit level I've got set here, which is right around 11,300 for Nasdaq. So again, 1 minute until 9:30 open. If we can get a push up in here, I will take 3 contracts going short, which you can see I've got the fair value gap delineated here, overlapping with the bearish order block. Best possible entry for me would be here at 79% because that's going to have the least amount of risk with only 16 points. However, I am open to taking a position as early as the 50% level, which is 11,430, which is still only about 30 points of risk. When first profit target is 130 points, second profit target would be 130 points here, first profit target, and then down here would be second, which is 200 points. So here we go, 9:30 open. Finger on the trigger, ready to go short with 3 contracts if we can get a push up indeed. Sounded weird, push up indeed. Might be too heavy for it to get any traction to give us a fill up there though. Sometimes I'll drop down to 1 minute. You can see that we are actually using this 1 minute fair value gap. One thing with these 1 minute charts though is you don't want to get too trapped on the time frame, right? It can still very well spike up, clear out these highs into the 50% level and rebalance some of this. So we'll see what we get here. Now if we get, so there we go. So we're above this fair value gap again. If we close above this, it's going to want to target these levels in here. And that's going to be an optimal short opportunity for us. So let's go back out to a 5 minute. All right, there's a 50% level. I'm not going to go short yet because ideally I'd love it. There we go. We're getting. So let's see here. All right. Short with 3 contracts at the 50% level. I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, put my stop above here. So $87 risk and $82 risk. So risking about $160. So a little less than 1% on my total account size, which is 20,000. Yeah, it's at 21,200 right now. So again, we can go all the way up into 79%. We can spike through that a bit even, but ideally I would like it to stay below this low, which should see continuation lower. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this here. Profit levels are set. Stop is set. Now we will let it do its thing. Looks like we may get stopped out here. Might just be retesting the high of the range, but I won't like it leaving a double top in. Okay, so it took the 3 lot it took the 3 lot position. So if it hits my stop on this other one, that's okay, but I am going to wait because now we've got double top, double bottom. So it's engineering liquidity currently. Yeah, I'm going to collapse. Yeah, took it. All right, so $171 loss. So now I have to wait, and then we'll see if there's an opportunity to get back in, but this fib, invalid, fair value gap, invalid, fair value gap, invalid. So they're going to target this high. Now when we get above that high, I want to see them reject it aggressively. Displacement lower, that'll give me an opportunity to go short. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my microphone here, put on a video or something just while we wait, and you guys will still be able to see everything unfold in real time. I'm just going to be muted. So again, I want to see it run above this high here, displacement lower. So give me a big bearish candle like this, and then I'll go short off of like a bearish order block or a fair value gap setup in there. And I'll target ultimately down here, but first take profit will be here. So just wanted to chime in really quickly. So one thing I missed is we have news at 10 a.m. So we have news at 9:55 and 10 a.m. A lot of USD news. So I should have really waited until after the news hit the market, which is okay. But in hindsight, that's definitely something I should have done. Also, one thing that I used to get trapped up with in the past is, for example, like I wanted it to target this high and go short above here. I would go short immediately. I wouldn't let it break down and confirm for me first, right? So a lot of times I would end up sitting through all this additional movement here, right? Whereas now I know just wait, right? So I'm going to see if we can get a rejection. Excuse me. I'm going to see if we can get a rejection from here. And then I'm going to look for some sort of fair value gap to form in this area here, and I'll go short. So breakdown. In theory, there will be some sort of fair value gap in this area here. It's going to retrade back up into it. I'm going to go short here, and then I'm going to target a run lower. So this is what I'm looking for. If we can get this to form during or after news, that will be ideal. And then whatever high forms here, my stop will be above that. So that is what I will be looking for over the next coming 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead and mute the mic again. I'm willing to go back in with 3 contracts, and then I will compound or pyramid an additional 2 to have a total of 5 on once we get the breakdown. So that's what I'm looking for. And yep, so you can also see Dow is the only one that hasn't broken above the intraday high so far. So there is a bit of SMT divergence right now. It could still very well take out this high, but just something that's running through my mind. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, pull this back up on the big screen. We'll drop down to a 1 minute, and this is what we want. Typically, this type of formation usually indicates a high is forming, right? Now, it could just be a short-term high, could come back up and run above it, trade into this fair value gap, and then tear through it. But in my experience, I've noticed that, this is typically what it looks like when a high is forming. But still, I'm not going to go short yet. It's not enough, right? I have to see some sort of breakdown, right? Ideally, I'd love it to break this low and then retrade back up into a fair value gap, right? So yeah, that's what I'll be looking for. I'll mute the mic and I'll come back on if or when I take another position. So watching this fair value gap, if it's weak enough, it should just cut right through this. If it's going to go higher, it's going to use this to buy more, and then this high will be taken out. So those are the 2 sides. But again, I'm more inclined to see sell side being targeted because now we've already taken out buy side ahead of the news. So I'm just looking for some sort of bearish fair value gap to form, ideally below this dark maroon line, because this is the buy side liquidity on the 15-minute, right? So you can see it's leaving a big wick here. This is the price action of that wick on a 1 minute. So I like this breakdown. I would be willing to put my stop above here, but I need a fair value gap or something to go short off of, right? So I'm just going to note this. Tiny, tiny little gap. We also have tiny little volume imbalance. These 2 candles are separate, right? So I'll be watching these levels. In an ideal scenario, I would love this to be the AM session high, meaning they don't break above this. It could trade back up into these levels, use that for additional selling. but I'm going to look to go short off of some sort of fair value gap setup. I don't want to go short yet because it could very well use this as support to trade higher before continuing lower. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. And we'll see if we get it. But it definitely looks like it's going to give us some sort of bearish fair value gap setup. So that's what we'll be watching for. All right, so this is what we want to see. So there's no fair value gap set up here, so obviously I'm not going to go short yet. But I was showing you guys, notice how it hit the 50% level, sold off. But again, if that would have been overlapping with a small little gap or something here, definitely would have taken that short. But now it's given us that displacement. So notice this. All right. Retesting the CME open. So now this is enough for me to want to go short. So really we shouldn't get above this high now. So I even have a better stop opportunity. But now we just need it to push up a bit. So it may use the news here in a couple minutes. And I'll go short off of this bearish order block. Really, this volume imbalance could be enough, but it's too much in a discount for me to short it here. So this big candle could become that fair value gap I was talking about. It depends on how this candle closes. Current 1 minute candle. The reason I say that is because if we come back and fill it all in, it wouldn't be a fair value gap yet. Why is this? Okay. By the way, look at how it used the volume imbalance to sell more. Always interesting note. So now we're just going to look for a trade back up in here. Right, stop will go above this high because now we know this is likely the AM session high. So again, fair value gap starts here. This is the low of the fair value gap. This is the high of the fair value gap. Anywhere in here is a good enough short. If I go short here, sorry, I had a sneeze. If I go short there, it's going to be like 50-point stop, and that's okay. I'll look to add the 2 contracts a little bit lower. Keep sneezing. All right, so we're retesting that CME open. Just wanted to give me a little bit of a poke up. Also, going to look for these levels to be targeted. That's going to be the ideal short opportunities. So I'm going to set a limit order here just because I have got to go blow my nose real quick. So I will be right back. All right, so looks like the limit order got filled, which is why I wanted to set it before going blow my nose. So I'm just going to set my stop above here. And here we go. I am willing to add more contracts just because of the fact that I need, well, I don't need, but I want to get through the phase 1 of this challenge this week. So this is going to be the setup to do it. I'm willing to add them at 62% or anything above. All right. So 165, 157. Let's do some math real quick. $320 of risk, which is So we have 322 plus 171. So at most on the day, if these are two losing trades, that would put me in a 2.5% loss on the day, which I'm exposing myself to a little bit more risk just because of the fact that, again, I want to get through phase one of this challenge. But so far, I like what we're seeing. We should just use these news events in the next 5 minutes to continue selling off. So I'm going to go ahead and set my take profit levels. So I don't really need the level I was targeting earlier just because I've been able to get a price up here. So first take profit, 231, second, 632. So that'd be 800 or so dollars. We're at 21,000. We need 1,600 to pass. So this stop or this entry, I'm going to put my stop in profit as soon as we break below this low. Also, you can see like that is just beautiful. I love when it stops on a dime at the level I enter, and then it goes the other way. So a lot of times I like the 62% or the sweet spot entries for the fib, as long as it overlaps with a fair value gap like this. And a lot of times the positions will be like this. So we're currently up 140. We lost 171 earlier, so we're about to mitigate that loss. And we should end up in profit on the day. So, which is why I have my take profit levels at 800. Right. So loss is now mitigated. So in theory, I can go ahead and just close out here, but we want to at least take partials below here, which I'd be willing to remove the 3 contracts below here and keep the 5 on, since that's going to be a better entry. That's going to give me 30 points. That'll be $90. So that'll mitigate a small portion of that loss that we had taken. So we don't need this. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic. But again, we have news in 2 minutes. We should just see price continue pushing lower. So there's a lot to talk about. One thing I just would say to study is going to be like these volume imbalances, because notice how like we left the volume imbalance, we sliced right through it, we got back above it, then we got back below it, and we're using it as resistance, right? Now it could very well on this news in 1 minute spike up, fill this fair value gap, and then trade lower, which that's what I'd like to see. And then my stop or my entry here, excuse me, I'll put the stop in profit. So here we go. News event. traded right to the fair value gap low so far. So let's see if we get a fill. I'm not taking another position because I'm already long with 8 or short with 8 contracts. And I'm going to look to take partials below here. That's what I've got these 2 up for. All right, so we're getting that sell off. Notice how we stopped on a dime right at that low of the fair value gap. All right, 2 contracts off. And then we are going to just close the remaining portion of that. Go ahead and lock in some more profit. 2 off of that one. We'll keep 3 on. Stops in profit. $60 up on the day. Loss mitigated. Currently up $200. Equity is at 21,450. We need 21,600 to pass. So beautiful price delivery. I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Again, look how it used this volume imbalance. Bodies of the candles are staying inside of here. I'm going to go ahead and remove these levels of that fair value gap. I mean, that's just beautiful though. So look at the high on this candle, 11,433.1. And then the high on this candle, 11,433.2. 0.1. So traded above it by 0.1. And I mean, that's ultra precision, right? This is ICT type of entry. You enter here, stop above here, 9 points, and then in 1 minute, you're up 54 points. So, you know, I still think we got great positions, but ICT's on another level. All right, so $379 at the target here. So again, I'm ultimately looking for even lower continuation down here, right? Because now we've cleared buy side, so we're going to target sell side here. But this is enough right here to allow me to pass phase 1 of the challenge. Stop is in profit, risk-free trade. So we just have to wait for our level to get hit. Which, let me actually do the math real quick so we can have it at an exact level. So 600 minus 260 is 340. So we need 340 to pass. And this is 379. So we're just going to adjust this just a tad. We'll do 349. Just a couple extra bucks. And this is right overlapping with the midnight open, and that will clear out this liquidity, fill in this imbalance. So that would be good enough to allow us to pass the challenge. I keep saying us like this is your guys' challenge too, but once I pass the challenge, so we'll wait for that level to get hit. You can see the equity, 21,554. And so we targeted this liquidity. Ideally, I'd want to close a partial below here, but I want to at least give it the opportunity to hit my take profit level because I need the full 3 contracts to hit this level in order for me to pass. At least from a money standpoint. I mean, I could drag this on until tomorrow and the next day and stuff like that, but I just want to complete it and then move on to phase 2 and get the funded account. So I am going to just go ahead and mute my mic again. But again, I'm not looking for it to trade all the way back up in here. I want it to just continue going lower. Ultimately hit the take profit level. So I'll come back on the mic whenever take profit has been hit or something else happens. So I went ahead and closed one partial there. I need $240, so I'm just going to adjust this slightly. Because again, we should just take out this low, but just in case we do turn around and end up reversing and it uses this fair value gap to buy more, and for whatever reason it stops me out, I at least want to lock in some additional profit. So that was another $100. So that puts us in profit 163 on the day. This position is currently up 190. We're looking for 244, which allows us to pass phase one, which ultimately, I'm looking for this blue box here, which is a 15-minute fair value gap to be filled in. But I need I only need $240. So I've got my stop or take profit set for that. And then watch this fair value gap now. This is also why I wanted to lock in a partial, because I was anticipating this being retraded to and all that. And I mean, I don't make the market, right? So it could very well get back above here and tag my stop. And that's okay. My stop's in profit, but I at least want to get paid for, the time I'm sitting in front of the charts here. So locked in the partial while we were below here. Maybe I can, we'll go ahead and show you guys so we can pull this up. So that's right here, right? Notice how we're starting to turn around after that level. So from high to low, this was that trade, right? We've also got this partial that we closed on this candle here once we cleared the liquidity below here. And we still have 2 contracts remaining. And as long as that hits take profit, that will pass phase one of this 20K account. So we can also draw our fib here, just like we did earlier. And this is how you use the fibs, right? They overlap with these confluences. So 50% level. Again, I could add another position and all that stuff, but I've already got a risk-free trade on and it's at a good price. So I'm not open to adding another position to put more risk on when I know the direction is going to continue lower. Most likely that's the highest probability. And then if my take profit gets hit, I pass the challenge with just the trade I have on right now. If this is a funded account live and I've already passed the challenge, well, then it's a different story. I can add, another position here and boost my equity a little bit more on the day. But I'm not going to do that when my goal is just to get 1,600 here and I only need, whatever the amount is from my balance. It's $240. Since we're up, if I close right now, I would only need $90, right? But I have to wait for take profit to get hit. So even if it comes all the way back up and stops me out, I'm okay with either thing it does, because to me it should hit my take profit, which at that point I don't have to do any more trading for the day. Now, if it comes up and hits my stop loss, I don't have to do any more trading for the day there either, right? Because I've already secured profit. I only need $240 more, and then I pass the challenge. If I have to do that tomorrow or Thursday, that's totally fine, right? If I do it today, that's great. But this is how I look at it. You know what I mean? Because ideally, hopefully you guys can see, this is what an entry opportunity looks like, right? Whether it's the one I took here, or if you went short off of this fair value gap, targeting a run into this below these lows. Both are valid. But I'm just not going to take an additional one if I don't need to. So if you guys are obviously real time here with me right now, in theory, you can go short once it hits the 50% level. But hopefully that helps some of you guys. But I'm going to remove this fib because we've already got the fair value gap outlined, and we know that our levels are, just above here. So it can very well trade into that and then use that to sell off. which we know up here we've got CME open. All right, so I'm going to mute the mic until take profit or stop is hit. So just wanted to jump back on here real quick. Notice how 50% of the fair value gap overlaps with 50% of the range where you have the displacement here. So again, that's just what confluence looks like with things overlapping, giving you justifiable reasons to go short, or the inverse if you were going long. So here's a 1 minute chart. You can see we traded into the 1 minute fair value gap as well. Now I want to see this just reject. It should break below this low and then target this low here. And we should just continue going lower until our targets are achieved, right? And again, the reason we wanted to take partials earlier is because we had cleared out this liquidity. So we anticipate some sort of retracement like this, right? So there's no point in sitting through it if you can close partials here, and then you can add another position back if you wanted to, right? In theory, if this was a live account versus trying to pass a challenge, that's what I would be doing, right? Partials taken below here, adding another position at 50%, stop above here, targeting this low for first partial, right? So ideally, I want to see this high that just formed stay in place, right? I don't want to see it, breaking above here and using this as an order block and all that. I want it to just hold this high, continue rejecting, and we should get below this low, trade into midnight, and hit the take profit level, ultimately targeting this blue box here, which is at 15-minute fair value gap here, right? So again, this is the range we're working in. Sell side here, buy side here. We've taken buy side. Now we're looking for sell side. Take profit is here, which is actually right around 50% of the range. Yeah, just below 50% of the range. So we should see that over the next, 40 minutes or so, maybe sooner. So we'll see. But I like watching it on a 5 minute. Just sometimes it gets a bit distracting on the 1 minute, but we're just looking for lower prices. So I'm going to go ahead and mute the mic, and I'll jump back on if there's anything we should talk about. So just wanted to jump back on again so you guys can see we're starting to push it a little bit lower. Notice that 62%. Right. Obviously, we're not just going based off the fib, but overlapping with other things in the market. It's interesting to note. A lot of times what I've noticed too is right around 10:30, there will be a setup that forms, which again is that setup here that we're seeing unfold. In scenarios like this, you can really, like, with more experience you get watching price action, you know what a retracement versus a reversal looks like. And like this is an example of a retracement. It's very like slow, and it's usually like filling in some sort of imbalance like this. Whereas a reversal just in one candle completely goes the opposite direction like this one, right? So just something to note, but we want to see it close below this dashed black line, that 50% level. As long as we close below there, we should continue lower, hitting our take profit level. Once we get below this low, I can trail my stop above this high. But I would assume if it's going to take out this low, it's just going to punch through this one and fill in some of this here. So probably won't adjust my stop just because at this point, like, it doesn't matter to me whether take profit or stop gets hit. Like, the trade is completely risk free and I've already paid myself. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But if we kind of hang around below this low, I will trail my stop just to lock in more profit, which if I move it above this high, that'll lock in 36 points. So I'm going to go ahead and mute the mic, and we'll just continue to see if we keep dropping lower. So as you guys can see, I put some paper positions on here. So this is like a demo trade, but no actual execution. So in theory, I can be shorting it here, targeting here with a stop above here, right? So we'll see if that pans out, but we should start dropping lower. We shouldn't hang around in this level too much longer because it's already rebalanced. So I marked out this bearish order block here once we close below. So just watching what price does in there. This could just turn into a big long wick and we can start running lower. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. But we'll see what we get. But ultimately, we have a paper short with a stop of 36 points and a target of, like, we'll target this low. So 75, 80, and then fill in this in 100. So first take profit is like a 2-to-1 trade. So let's see if we get continuation lower. All right, so I want to see rejection from here. All right, we've done enough work inside of this fair value gap. We've wicked all the way through. We've filled it in entirely. Should be no reason for it to continue higher. So you can see that's the fill. And notice also the bodies of the candles staying below that 50% level, right? Just above it here, but immediately close back below. So just you want to note these things. And again, notice how everything is still below that initial volume imbalance. So I could roll my stop even just above this high where the paper stop is, but just to be extra safe, regardless, I'm risk-free. I'm okay if it stops me out. It doesn't matter if it stops me out with more profit or not. So I'll mute the mic, but again, we should just continue selling off from here. Getting to the tail end of the AM session now, so we should start seeing just some expansion lower, and I'm anticipating the AM session low to run this here. So that's what we'll be waiting for. Again, take profit is here, $244, 122 points or pips, which will pass phase one of this account here, which we're up 7.9%. So we're just working on getting that final balance of it. All right. So I'll mute the mic and we'll continue to wait, but I want to see it get below this red box here, and we should just continue lower. So we're looking for it to break this low. So one thing I will do is if we get above this red box, the fair value gap on a 5-minute. If we close above it, I will collapse one partial. So let's see if that, let me just get it ready just in case. Just to lock in some more profit, because if we close above here, we could easily trade back up into the fair value gap here, which would take me out regardless. So again, I'm only considering doing this if we close above this red box. This can be a wick, that's fine. But I don't want to see it close above it. That's what would make me close one contract off of this. Also, if you note on a 15-minute, one of the things I'm anticipating is the next 15-minute candle that forms in 1 minute to just turn around and sell off, because we're also trading within this bearish breaker. So there's a lot of things going on here, but again, I do not really want to see it close above here. All right, so I'm going to collapse one. So added 17 extra bucks. We'll save, the stops and profits. So if we get stopped out, that's okay. Paper short would have been invalid. This would have gotten stopped out. So you can see why I don't want to take an additional position when I already have one locked in profit. So we need, what is that, $220 to pass. So even if my take profit gets hit and my stop doesn't, I would still need $100 to pass. So that's fine. I'll come back, check in during the PM session, see if there's anything I can scrape off, but I am going to leave this position on either to get stopped out or to hit my target down here. So we will see what we get. I'll keep the stream going maybe, or the video going for the next 14 or so minutes, at least till 11, or until I get stopped out or something, because I'm not going to take any additional trades this morning after this. So I'll mute the mic until something else happens. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and collapse this position. So I do like that the bodies are respecting this, but I don't like that we're above the CME open. 5 minute just to me looks like it's going to want to fill this in. So just to save my stop, lock in more profit on the day, want it to go ahead and close that. So we ended the day with $200 profit. Ending balance of 21,402. So $200, 1% left. So I don't guess this is updated yet. But yeah, so I'll look to complete this over the next day or so. And yeah, I'll go ahead and end the stream here. But one thing I would watch going into the rest of the day is potential fill on this, and then lower prices, targeting the low here. So I guess we can go ahead and mark that out real quick. And I'll throw the screenshot in this video. And if we can stay within this range up until the PM session, I would be potentially inclined to take a short here, targeting this low if it hadn't been taken out yet. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Also, keep an eye on this fair value gap here. In theory, this should be enough just to send it lower, but again, we're above that CME open, so unless we get some displacement below there, I'm inclined to believe that they're going to want to fill this in. So I'll stop the stream here, and hopefully this was valuable, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.